A lot of ceremonies have taken place at Pierce College in the last 55 years, including a Totem Pole ceremony, or stories carved into poles.
A celebration in song. Back in the 80s, local artists and former teachers helped create and restore our totems at Pierce College. According to journalism student at Pierce College, clouds blocked out the sky.
A cold winter wind circles a group of students as they watch a man wearing a hat in the shape of the head of an eagle sing and beat a small painted drum. The songs were unfamiliar in a language unknown by many.
As he sang, another man wafted sweet-smelling smoke towards the crowd. We are referring to a ceremony rededicating the 3 totem poles at Pierce College. The man singing was Fred Louth, who restored the totem poles that now reside in front of the International House.
He also completed the Raven, the totem pole located in front of the Sunrise Building. Larry Pierce, the former director of student services and a Native American, began the ceremony with a smudging, in which he used a feather to dust the totem pole participants and spectators with smoke from a mixture of ground sage, cedar, and tobacco. Danny Marshall, chairman of the Steilacoom Tribe, shared a potlatch fable about why dogs smell each other's tails, which brought laughter to the crowd.
A long time ago. This story is about a leader of the Steilacoom people in a time that was different than it is now, because during this time there was much more interaction with the animals. We could talk with the animals, and the animals could talk with us. Animals had relationships with each other, much different than we have today. You might hear people say something like, you know, my spirit animal is Grandfather Elk. Grandfather Elk was recognized as somebody who had great wisdom and longevity and strength and power, and somebody you could go to and seek information from. During this time, though, when people got along pretty well together and with the animals, there was a leader in the Steilacoom Indian tribe that was loved very greatly by his people. They loved him so much they would do anything for him, and he loved his people so much he would do anything for them. In fact, the true spirit of a great leader is what we call a servant leader. And so this is somebody that not just leads with direction and gives us a clear path to follow, but it's somebody that works with us in accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish. So this leader decided that he would accomplish something that had never been done on Puget Sound before. They were going to build the largest longhouse that had ever been built. And people would know about the longhouse from all across the land. It would be celebrated as one of the most magnificent things that had ever been accomplished. But he needed all his people to be involved in that project in order to make it happen. And so called the people together, made a plan, and they knew it was going to be hard work. But they knew, because they could bring in their relatives and friends from some of the other tribes local and around their area to help them, that they would have enough people to accomplish this. So the people all came together. And it was very important that they came together to work, because this longhouse was so large that some of the support poles that they used to hold the logs at the top were as wide as 2 men standing side by side with their arms spread. That's a pretty big log. First of all, we have to get that log to stand up on its end. And then we have the special artists that come in and carve neat things that are on that log. Sometimes up in the north, we call those totems. Down here, we called them story poles, because they all told a story. And it was really a pole that had been carved with a purpose. The story was in the carving. So people would get together and work on that, but it took all the people together. And then, of course, we had these great big logs that had to be lifted way up onto the top. And we're talking about 30 feet up, poles way up there, logs, and this is what they used. Guess what? Ah-ho! And people would lift, ah-ho! 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 And they lifted and lifted, and they built and built, and this longhouse was accomplished. While some people were building, and in the construction part, harvesting trees, bringing them in, and putting the longhouse together, making the planks for the roof and the walls, and everything else that goes along with that, some others who weren't involved in the construction part were preparing for a big feast and a festival. Because when you accomplish something as magnificent as that, you have to have a celebration. No matter what, big celebration. And the celebrations on Puget Sound were called potlatches. A potlatch ceremony was a ceremony where everybody was invited to come, but everybody left with gifts. So that meant if we're hosting a potlatch, we have to have things to give to all of our guests when they come. And so they started preparing all kinds of food. One of the things that the Steilacoom people were most famous for was the sea scallops that came from our water. They didn't exist everywhere on Puget Sound, but we had these wonderful scallops that you can't even get anymore today's world. But the sea scallops were all strung together on their cedar strands and put up to smoke and dry, and the salmon was smoked and everything, and clams, and we even had crabs and all the other stuff that people loved from the sea, and the camas from the ground, and the berries that were all over the place at that time. You know, back in those days, they said the strawberries were so plentiful here in the Steilacoom area that you would think that the world was empty when people were out gathering the strawberries because nobody could be found. But strawberries are pretty special, especially these little teeny wild ones that have so much more flavor than you can ever imagine. They gathered all those things up and they prepared new baskets and blankets. Blankets were one of the most important things we had because they took so much work to get the wool to make those blankets. There was a time when we used to have little dogs that we got the wool from. They're not around anymore. But most of the wool had to come from mountain goats that didn't like to stand still when you were taking their wool. So you had to go and get the little strands off the trees that they left behind, and that took a long time to build a blanket. So if you were given a blanket, that was a very highly valued gift. But they made blankets and baskets and boxes, and were getting ready for this big celebration, and the longhouse was finally completed. And when that happened, the leader climbed up on top of the longhouse so everybody could hear him around the sound and began to share the news that people were invited to come. On top of the longhouse, he turned in all four directions and called out, "All who can hear my voice are welcome to come to the great potlatch celebration to celebrate the magnificent new longhouse of the Steilacoom people." And he did that in all four directions. "All who can hear my voice are welcome. Come join the Steilacoom Tribe to celebrate our magnificent new longhouse. Everybody, all people are welcome. Come join us for a celebration, a potlatch in the new longhouse of the Steilacoom people." And finally, one more time, everybody who can hear me is welcome to come. Please join us, the Steilacoom Tribe, in the magnificent new longhouse that we have built. And after he completed calling out, people began arriving day after day. Some potlatches go 1-2 days, but this was going to be a long celebration. People came from all across the sound. Some people traveled for a week just to get there. And when they got there, the party was already going. Everybody was given gifts and presents and celebration. The best thing about it was people could sing and dance and tell stories around the fire, and everybody was having a great time. And the potlatch had gone on for 2 weeks at this time, and people were still eating lots and lots of food and stacking up piles of salmon bones in the baskets at the side because of so much salmon that they had eaten. But after this 2 weeks, there was a knock on the wall, which was weird because normally, when you have a potlatch, everybody's welcome to come. So didn't I call out, everybody's welcome to come? What are you doing knocking? When you come to a potlatch, you just pull the blanket off the front door and walk right in, and everybody's welcome. So what's the deal here? This is kind of weird. So the leader goes over, everybody gets quiet. It's like, whoa, somebody's knocking on. That's weird. But he goes over to the door, pulls open the blanket and looks out and goes, "Oh, nothing." Guess it was just the wind. Everybody get back to your dancing. So people start dancing again, and he's turning around, coming back in, and all of a sudden he hears this. "Whoa, wow, it's me. Can't you see me? I'm down here." And the leader turns back around and says, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there, dog. And the dog says, yeah, I'm here. I brought all my people. The dog leader from all the dogs across Puget Sound brought all his dogs with him. And they were all strung out behind him. And there he is. He said, hey, we're here. You said everybody that hears my voice is welcome. And I brought all my people for the big celebration. Come on. You know dogs aren't allowed at a people potlatch. That's not what we meant. I said all people. Who are people? We're the dog people. No, all regular people are welcome to come. Not the dogs. Look, you're all muddy and dirty, and it's like, you'll make a mess in here. Just get on. Wait, hold on. I got these baskets of salmon bones. Here you go. Take these baskets of salmon bones. Go on out there in the forest and have your own celebration, but you can't come in here. So the dogs did. They took the baskets and they went off into the forest, and well, you know, they enjoyed the salmon bones. That was good. But they were still grumbling and having their own little pity party out there too. One dog said, hey, what's the deal anyways? You know, didn't they say everybody could come? I don't know about this. This is not right. We should just go back in there and just charge on in, right? No. I'm the leader, and you know what? Let's just eat our dog bones here and enjoy those. And you know, well, wait a minute now. I think you're right. That's not fair, is it? And so, yeah, they all started thinking that, hey, we should do something about this. And they said, you know what? We can't go busting in on their party. But you know what? Here's an idea. What if we build our own longhouse? Yeah, nobody's ever seen a dog longhouse before. We'll call it the Big Dog Longhouse, and everybody will say, whoa, look at that Big Dog Longhouse over there. And you know what? We'll invite all the people to come and celebrate with us in the Big Dog Longhouse. And then when the people come, we'll say, hey, no way, this is for the dogs only. Get on out of here. What do you think about that? And so they agreed. They said, let's do it. So they got busy building, and it's kind of hard for dogs to build stuff. So it wasn't as big. I mean, this longhouse was like only about up to here, but it was big for dogs. Dogs hadn't been living in longhouses before, and they thought that this was magnificent. In fact, it was big enough for like 100 dogs to fit in, so it was still, you know, a big dog longhouse, that's for sure. And when they finished the longhouse and began to have the celebration, the leader of the Big Dog Longhouse, he climbed up on top of the roof of their longhouse and said, whoa, everybody, listen up. The dogs have built the biggest longhouse that the dogs have ever known. And you know what? It's a fantastic sight for everybody to see. So come and join us as we celebrate the creation of the Big Dog Longhouse. And he did that all four directions, calling out across the sound. And dogs started coming from everywhere. Mostly dogs, because the people weren't so impressed with the Big Dog Longhouse. But the dogs started coming, and they started having a great celebration. And in fact, it lasted for like 2 or 3 days, and they were dancing and singing around the fire in there and having a good time. And as they danced and sung and had their party, they began to worry, because no matter how long they were going, they said, we need to keep on going because the people haven't even tried to come yet. They just kept on going, and they were about ready to give up because there was never a person that came to try to get in. But then, on the 4th night, there was a knock on the wall. Whoa! All right, we're going to show them now. They think they can get into our potlatch. They're going to find out the truth. So dog leader goes over there, pulls open the door, and looks outside, and hey, here I am! I heard that you were having a celebration. Who can celebrate without Coyote? I brought all the Coyote clan, and we're here to join in the celebration. Hey, aren't you glad we're here? No, wait a minute, Coyote. Are you crazy? We had to take pegs and put them all the way around the inside of the longhouse. So the dogs, when they came in, they could hang up their tails and keep the place clean in here. If we let you in, what kind of mess is going to be had in here? Go away, Coyote, we don't have anything for you. Just get on out of here. So, Coyote, he's not as easy to dissuade as the dogs were. Besides that, he didn't get a basket of salmon bones to chew on either. So, Coyote, he just wanders into the woods, but turns right back around and makes his way back, right on top of the longhouse. And he gets up there, and you know what? Longhouses are built so that the smoke can come out through the top. All you do is move a board and make a smoke hole. And so all those boards are up there, strategically placed to let the smoke out, and Coyote started moving them, covering up the smoke holes. And dogs inside there, singing and dancing. Oh, yeah, it's a great party! But they had to go lower and lower to the ground because it was getting kind of smoky in there. And they kept getting lower and lower, and they were just about down on their bellies by this time. And all of a sudden, Coyote up on top yells, "Fire! Fire! Fire!" And all the dogs jump up, and they run around in the smoke trying to see, and they run into the wall, and they grab a tail off the wall and stick it on and run out into the forest. That's almost the end of that story, but today, if you ever see two dogs meet, even if it's not the first time, you'll notice they're always checking to see whose tail the other dog has. So, people built a longhouse, dogs built a longhouse, and not only that, the world kind of moved on in a happy way.
The purpose of these stories is similar to that of the totems in that they pass down information to the next generation of tribal or family history. Fred Louth, dressed in his native headdress and cape, demonstrated a few dances and songs, including the Coming Into the House song and the Welcome song. Fred Louth, originally from Alaska, volunteered to refurbish the 3 totem poles here at Pierce College. Beginning in October, he studied the original markings on the pole. Repainting and recarving were necessary.
Traditional coloring would have been created by using chocolate for black, salmon eggs for red, and copper ore for blue. However, artist Fred Louth's processes included acrylics. Although the artist was able to read what the symbols were on the poles, he was not able to read the story behind them. Totems are not like books. You have to know what to look for. You have to know the story before you can read totems. They always depict a mythical creature somewhere. On Sunrise Totem is Raven, who did much good for Native Americans, such as fetching the sun and the moon to give light and warmth to the native people. But he can also be considered a trickster.
Harry Odom, a former Pierce student and part-time faculty member, began carving Raven in the 1960s, but was not able to finish the totems. Fred Louth completed and detailed the pole. Dale McGinnis, a former anthropology instructor, brought the 2 totem poles at the International House to Pierce College in 1976. According to Fred Louth, the one located on the left is a depiction of Frog, topped by Thunderbird. The pole on the right is Bear, also topped by Thunderbird. They were carved for Pierce College, and a matching set can be found in British Columbia.
Thunderbirds were the lords of the sky realm. Thunderbirds can make themselves invisible or become fierce winds. Thunderbirds would also often battle each other in the sky, and these battles would cause severe thunder and lightning. Occasionally, Thunderbirds would attend human ceremonies disguised as eagle chieftains. Bears would also attend human ceremonies, although they had a limbering gait and would be wearing thick bearskin clothes. Frog is associated with great fortune.
Frog is a close friend of Copper Woman who lives in an undersea realm. If Frog is insulted, Copper Woman will cause volcanic eruptions. Native American Larry Pierce explained that timing was the reason for the winter ceremony. The carver finished restoring them near the end of fall quarter. Larry Pierce said once they were restored, we needed to re-erect the poles and complete the dedication.
He did not want to leave them in storage. Waiting for warmer weather to do so would be disrespectful to the totems. Totem poles are symbols of American Indian groups and families. They are a record of the accomplishments and successes of that family or tribe. A totem could also be erected to honor a relative who dies, or record an encounter with a supernatural personage, or to respect a chief or other person who put on a great potlatch, according to Danny Marshall, who also attended the ceremony totem. You see, totem poles are more than just art.
They are part of the people at Pierce College.